The Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, requires all state and local government entities to ensure their services, programs, and activities comply with the ADA. That includes courts. That means they must provide reasonable accommodations to any person with a disability when an accommodation is needed to ensure that that person can participate in the services, programs, and activities, and that a person's disability doesn't interfere with them receiving the same level of benefit from those programs that another person would.
For a person who's deaf, one mandatory accommodation that the government must provide you in a courtroom is a sign language interpreter.
In Texas, courts must appoint sign language interpreters for parties, witnesses, and jurors involved in trials or depositions. They must make the appointment when a party requests an interpreter or when it becomes clear to the judge that they need an interpreter. They must appoint court-certified interpreters, meaning that the interpreter has a current legal certificate from the National Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf.
Or they can have a current court interpreter certificate issued by the Board for Evaluation of Interpreters in the Texas Department of Assistive and Rehabilitative Services.
The ADA also requires that courts ensure that interpreters are capable of interpreting the proceedings effectively and accurately.
You should normally be given a team with at least 2 interpreters. Team interpreters are necessary because turn-taking reduces interpreters' mental fatigue and allows interpreters to monitor each other's accuracy, which together reduces the potential for errors.
Not every interpreter is the right fit for every case, and you are entitled to an interpreter who's the right fit for you in your case. Just because an interpreter is certified and may have experience interpreting in court, that doesn't mean that they'll be successful interpreting in a specific case. For instance, if the interpreter does not have sufficient experience within the particular legal domain.
Also, because there can be differences in how deaf individuals communicate, one interpreter will not always be able to meet the interpreting needs of every deaf individual.
You should also ask for a certified deaf interpreter if you feel you'll need them in order to understand the proceedings or give your testimony effectively.
The ADA also requires the courts make reasonable modifications of policies, practices, and procedures if necessary to avoid discrimination.
So if a court hearing must take longer in order for the interpreters to do their jobs properly, then the court must give you and the interpreters the extra time you need. Finally, the ADA makes it illegal for a judge or their staff to retaliate against you in any way for protecting the rights you're given under the ADA. Although it might take a modest amount of extra time to ensure they have interpreters available to accommodate your participation in the proceedings, it is their legal duty to accommodate you, and they're not allowed to treat you any worse than others because you've requested an accommodation.